Morning. 2 days after deadly storms hit St. Louis, officials with the National Weather Service are getting a closer look at the damage throughout our area. Meteorologist Gary Frank joins us live from the Bolivar neighborhood. And as we were preparing to get you on the air, I could hear a lot of sawing. I think people are really busy in that neighborhood right now, Gary. What are you learning?
Very busy, and as I've talked to some of the neighbors here, and we'll talk to them shortly, they're not sleeping very much. There's a lot of work to be done, and as you can see behind me, these piles of limbs and just anything else like this, these are some pretty thick limbs, and obviously that's what the National Weather Service has come out and surveyed. The amount of how big these pieces of wood are, how big the trees are, and what the damage are to the houses, not only as a result of the trees falling, but as a result of maybe the roof behind, and we'll show you that here in a little bit, but just the fact that we have these bigger trees, and you're talking 50 to 100-year-old trees that have fallen. You obviously see parts of the roof that have come off, but we have this big crane, and the City of St. Louis Forestry Division has been out, and we've actually watched this tree over the last 30 minutes or so. They've really taken care, and you really see this where they've got these big chainsaws. They're cutting off piece by piece, which is relief for the neighbors here. But as we look just area wide, I mean, this is just one of the streets here in the Bolivar neighborhood that we have this issue with. And I've talked to Randall, and Randall just pulled up. He was just kind of showing up. We just had one of the neighbors bring some coffee for some of these guys. Randall, you grew up right across the street. Were you here during the time when this storm hit, and what's it been like?
We were out in Florissant doing a little bit of work, and we had to try to drive to the city through from basically the north to the south, which was pretty chaotic. So it's been a lot. It's overwhelming.
What are some, obviously I see trees like this across the street. We have the tarps on top of the things. Yeah. What are some of the challenges that you guys are facing so far, obviously, other than clean up for the damage?
The major issue right now is we're all everybody's here is trying to work and clean up trees, debris, and there's no centralized dumping. Anybody who does anything city-wise and all that, they have to take everything to basically St. Louis Compost, which is out, I want to say off Broadway, New Halls Ferry, like North Terminal. It's $100 per load. That's that's going to be on the taxpayer's burden, all that kind of stuff. And you're basically having to drive across the city through places with no lights and all that kind of stuff, and you're taking all this stuff and it's kind of dumping. So they kind of need to centralize the area. Maybe a parking lot, muni parking lot, put some big loaders in there where all these trucks can get there, because these people are working overtime. You add a 25-minute commute and all that kind of stuff for all the trucks, and it's an issue. So anybody who's a resident and all that, they have to go out there, they have to pay, they have to do that. The dump stations are going to be overloaded and overworked. So it's going to be a big issue, and adding financial burden to the residents already here, and it's going to overstimulate that area. So in order to not have to cross basically all the way to the deep north or whatever, almost to Florissant, they need to kind of centralize. They need to have a designated area, because if you look at all these brush piles and everything here, that's 2 dump trucks full. That's another. There's thousands of trees like this, and we're not even talking about the backyard. Just how long it's going to take for them to remove one tree, and all this stuff that has to go here. We have to centralize and really come up with a plan that's reasonable, where people can dump stuff safely. Bring in a giant mulcher and all that kind of stuff that should, FEMA should have that, where it's disaster rated, where they can put these logs in there and they can make these giant mulch piles, so we can take off some of the burden and make the process a little bit smoother, a little bit, where it's not going to cost $100 per dump, and we're going to be overburdened, and it's going to be expensive already. Why make it more expensive? And that's just kind of our take.
Yeah. If in addition to that, what can people do that are around this area that could help you guys out in this neighborhood? Because obviously, so many trees down. You see some of the areas across the street, and I'll show you.
It's overwhelming right now. So what you can do is, it's hard to say, because even the trees that are still standing, they're gonna have to come down. You have to watch out for fallen limbs. You have to watch out for all that kind of stuff. The big thing is, I think, people, in general, kind of need. It's going to take a group effort to solve this problem. It's going to take time. So don't get overbuilt and overworked. Just do a little bit at a time. Do what you can. That's all you can, and make sure that you check on your neighbors and all that, because it's going to be a tough time for the city of St. Louis right now.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for checking in with us, Randall. We'll let you get back to it. But
best
yeah,
of luck.
thank you. And we're going to keep checking in with this neighborhood and other neighborhoods as we follow along with all these trees that are down and things like that here in this neighborhood. Of course, checking in with neighbors, friends. Like you said, it takes a group effort, and we'll follow up with them and check in on some other areas throughout the region throughout the rest of the afternoon. But we'll send it back to you guys for now.